More breaking news and more fallout for a Texas Tech team that has faced more than its fair share of adversity this season. Coming up, we'll have the latest details on continuing changes for Red Raider basketball.
The official start to spring break is only a day away, and many students are already packing their bags in anticipation of the holiday. Find out how a couple of campus groups helped prepare Red Raiders for their time away by providing options to stay safe and healthy.
And the postseason is officially underway for several Texas Tech teams, with several athletes hoping to have the chance to earn national honors. MCTV's Nathan Boles has more headlines from Texas Tech athletics in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Emma Montgomery.
And I'm Ian Middleton. Texas Tech athletics topped the local and national headlines this week after some controversial comments led to big changes in one of the program's highest profile sports.
MCTV's Nathan Boles joins us in the studio with the latest details on this continually developing story. Nathan?
Thanks, Emma and Ian. Mark Adams has resigned as Texas Tech men's basketball head coach after 2 seasons. Tech Athletics announced it yesterday about an hour after they lost to West Virginia in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Adams was suspended since Sunday after making a racially insensitive comment, quoting a Bible verse about slaves serving their masters to a player on the team. Adams' resignation follows an inquiry from Athletic Director Kirby Hocutt into his interactions with players and staff. Tech Athletics stated that the inquiry found Adams' comment to be unintentional and an isolated incident. Adams, a Texas Tech alum, said in the release his lifelong goal was to help his players and be a part of this team. Quote, however, both the university and I believe this incident has become a distraction for the Texas Tech men's basketball team and the university, which I care about so deeply, end quote. Coming up in sports, I'll talk about another piece of fallout from last night's loss, as well as what's going on in other Texas Tech sports. Back to you.
Thanks, Nathan. In news beyond the sports world, the start of spring break is just over a day away, and many students are preparing to hit the road as they leave Lubbock. With that in mind, one campus group held a biannual event to give Red Raider travelers peace of mind before pulling onto the highway. Transportation and Parking Services held their Spring Car Care Clinic yesterday afternoon in the Commuter West parking lot. During the clinic, attendees were able to bring their vehicle to the north side of the TV tower and have it checked out by professional mechanics from Scott's Complete Car Care. Mechanics checked and topped off fluids, inspected engines and tires, and gave recommendations for any other maintenance that might be required before making a road trip over the break. Along with the vehicle check, anyone stopping by could also enjoy free food and drinks and a chance to win a free e-permit for the next school year. Yesterday's event is one of 2 car care clinics held by TPS each year. The fall edition of the clinic takes place every November before the Thanksgiving holiday.
Transportation and Parking Services wasn't the only group offering free options to prepare students for spring break. Another campus organization held their final event before the holiday with a focus on self-care. Treat Yourself took place yesterday just inside the Sub Northeast entrance, next to the food court. Starting at 11 a.m., members of the Student Activities Board gave attendees the chance to make their own self-care packages. Students grabbed a bag and then had the option to fill it up with free facial masks, under eye patches, lotion, and even coloring sheets and art pencils. SAB also offered free relaxing hot beverages for everyone who stopped by. Yesterday's Treat Yourself event was scheduled to wrap up at 3 p.m., marking the final event for SAB before spring break. Luckily, SAB still has a packed schedule remaining for the second half of the spring semester, kicking off with Diversity Week when students return to campus. For a full list of fun and free events offered by the Student Activities Board, visit sab.ttu.edu.
The Texas Tech student body recently had the chance to make their voice heard and help decide on new leadership here at the university. But for some students, the experience may have seemed a bit different than past semesters. Tech's Student Government Association elections finished up yesterday evening at 7 p.m. Polls had been open over the last 2 days, with participants having the chance to vote on executive candidate positions, along with open senator spots. Election week kicked off with the executive candidate forum on Sunday, followed by the election on Tuesday and Wednesday. Students logged into the Texas Tech voting site, but some voters might have noticed differences this year. According to an article by the Daily Toreador, the voting system was swapped out this year with a new software after several incidents of fraudulent voting was reported by students. A corresponding article posted by the DT included allegations of first-year students voting in last year's homecoming king and queen election. That election utilized the same system as previous SGA elections, but TTU's election code excludes first-year students from voting during the homecoming election. The DT article details additional allegations of recent graduates participating in the election, which is also against the election code. The new Scythe software system was put into use before this week's SGA election, and elections officials hope to avoid additional fraud. The results of this year's SGA elections will be announced tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. in the sub-courtyard. You can also watch the announcement live on the SGA's Facebook page by visiting facebook.com/TTUSGA. For the first time since February, the Lubbock area has finally had a week without a dust storm. Winds have still been breezy, but gusts have stayed well below the speeds experienced across the South Plains over the last few weeks.
The lighter winds have been a welcome change, but are gusty conditions going to be a factor for those staying in the hub city during spring break? Let's take a look at the MCTV forecast. The MCTV tower cam is showing lots of clouds this afternoon. The clouds moved in earlier today and have continued to increase this afternoon. Temperatures are currently climbing into the upper 60s, and we should reach the low 70s before sunset. Winds have also been light again today, with speeds staying around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, we should see a few less clouds along with a gentle breeze. Temperatures will once again drop into the 30s but stay above freezing. Tomorrow, the clouds will continue to be a factor, but we should see more sunshine in the afternoon. Wind speeds will also increase slightly, but just enough to create a slight breeze. The biggest change tomorrow will be the temperature, with highs only expected to reach 60 degrees around sunset. Heading into the weekend, another round of changes are on the way, including the return of gusty winds. Wind speeds are forecast to reach 20 to 30 miles per hour, with gusts up to 40. The other change on Saturday will be the temperatures, with highs climbing into the mid-80s. Luckily, by Saturday night, the wind should die down and Sunday will be another mild day. Temperatures will be a little cooler with a high in the mid-60s, but there should be plenty of sun and only a slight breeze most of the day. Looking ahead, the roller coaster of temperatures is expected to continue throughout next week, but the current forecast is not showing any signs of another dust storm in the near future.
Texas Tech here in Lubbock has many global connections that go beyond the academic world. Recently, several VIPs with years of international experience in the political arena came together to talk about the local community's place in a much larger context. Last week, the university hosted the 8th Annual Ambassadors Forum. The event took place at the International Cultural Center, and the theme this year was Global Citizenship. 4 former State Department officials got together in a panel, which was open to the public, to discuss what it means to be a global citizen. The panel also discussed topics like climate change and the media, as well as nationalism versus globalism. Texas Tech's International Center partnered with the American Academy for Diplomacy to host this event. The goal is to better help the public understand current foreign affairs. The speakers also spoke heavily on media misinformation and how young people need to be aware of the news they are receiving.
This is an organization now 40 years old. It's deliberately small, less than 400 members, but all people who have had multiple top posts in American diplomacy. So it's an organization of people who have done the job. It has 2 purposes. One is talking to Americans about what diplomacy is, why it's important, the kind of program we're doing here, and our other job is telling the State Department how to do its work.
Before the panel, the ambassadors hosted a media availability to answer questions about current foreign affairs. They also discussed their careers with the State Department, as well as their stances on various topics.
As we mentioned earlier, Mark Adams is no longer the head coach of the men's basketball team, but Adams is not the only Red Raider leaving the university.
MCTV's Nathan Boles joins us again with details on that story and more in sports. Nathan?
Thanks, Ian and Emma. Shortly after Adams' resignation was announced last night, another domino fell. Fardaws Aimaq announced he would enter the transfer portal. Aimaq had been dealing with injuries all season that limited him to just 11 of Tech's 32 games. He transferred from Utah Valley after last season, and when he played, he usually got close to 30 minutes a night. He averaged 11.1 points and almost 8 rebounds. Through Joe Tipton on 3 Sports, AMAC thanked Texas Tech, but said not being healthy was disappointing. And with the coaching change and, quote, issues off the court with the staff, he will enter the transfer portal. After people reacted on social media, AMAC tweeted, "Funny how they talk crazy when you want to do what's best for you." He detailed his side of how he felt the season went a little more, saying he rushed back, shouldn't have played, and his injury normally takes people 6 to 8 months to recover. It will be interesting to see what this roster looks like next year. Jalen Tyson said after the game he can't see the future, but he loves Texas Tech, so that's one thing to probably look forward to. One thing's for sure, this Texas Tech men's basketball team is going through a lot of change very quickly. Texas Tech track and field is ready for the indoor national championships. The men are ranked number 3 in the country and are coming off a Big 12 indoor championship 2 weeks ago in Lubbock. The 60-meter dash and 60-meter hurdles led the way for the Tech men to dominate. The women are 11th in the nation and didn't have their best performance at the Big 12 indoors, but still finished 4th with multiple great performances. 9 men will compete at nationals for Texas Tech. Terrence Jones has the top national time in the 60-meter dash. Courtney Lindsay has the top time in the 200 meters. Caleb Dean and Zach Bradford are second in the 60-meter hurdles and pole vault, respectively. 4 women will compete for Tech at nationals. Demisha Roswell won the Big 12 indoors in the 60-meter hurdles and has the 3rd fastest time in the nation. The national championships are in Albuquerque all day Friday and Saturday. The event will be televised on ESPN Plus both days. Well, let's go to the baseball diamonds. Sunday night in Houston, Texas Tech baseball had to go 16 innings before falling to Texas A&M. Tuesday afternoon, Lubbock Tech got to go home a little earlier. We'll pick it up in the bottom of the 2nd. Down 1-0, Dylan Carter hits one into right center field. That one's going to bring 2 home. It's a 2 RBI double for Dylan Carter that gives Texas Tech a 2-1 lead. Crowd likes that one as well. Carter pointing to the crowd. We'll pick it up in the 4th now. Tech up 3-2. Kevin Bazell, he hits one into right center field for a 2 RBI double. He's one of the top players in the nation at getting doubles. He gets one there. Texas Tech went on to get the win 6-3. Less than 48 hours after Sunday's marathon, Tim Tadlock was proud of his team in Tuesday's win.
I told the guys today it's a treat to watch them. It's a treat to work with them. And the guys is really proud of their effort today, just under the circumstances. Because you know a bunch of them slept a bunch Monday. Some of them got up, went to class, but the schedule definitely wasn't normal. They're cool, you know. 2 o'clock game was quick.
Tech baseball will continue a 9-game homestand with a weekend series against number 23 Iowa. The series starts tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at Danlaw Field. All games are on ESPN+. Tech men's basketball may be done with the Big 12 tournament, but women's basketball still has to play their first round tonight. The Lady Raiders will go up against Kansas State. Tech has beaten Kansas State in both meetings this season. Krista Gerlich said this team is still in the building process and looking to make the postseason.
What I like most about this week is that we're in control of our own destiny. I've told our kids already that we don't want to leave it up to a committee to decide where we play or what we play in the postseason. And we actually are very much in control of that, starting with Thursday. So I'm excited for our kids to have the opportunity to play in March, and they can play deep in March. And I think Thursday's the first step.
First tip is not too long from now in Kansas City. Tech will be led by recent All-Big 12 first team honoree Breamber Scott and honorable mention Bryn Gerlich. Tech and K-State will start at 5 p.m. on ESPN+. The winner will play top seed Texas tomorrow afternoon. That's all for sports. Back to you, Ian and Emma.
Thanks, Nathan. So, Emma, are you glad that spring break is finally here?
I sure am. I'm ready for the break. What about you?
Me too. It's been a stressful semester, but I get to go camping next week, enjoy the outdoors a little bit. It'll be a nice refresher. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you after spring break.